Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti from AnthonyMorganti.com. This is episode 11 of the video series where we're taking a look at all the different plugins put out by Topaz Labs. In this episode, we're going to take a look at lens effects. All right, we're going to do a couple different images and we're going to send them over from Photoshop. So, this first image, to send it over into Topaz Labs Lens Effects, we're just going to go up to Filter, down to Topaz Labs, and then to Topaz Lens Effects. Now, as the name implies, Lens Effects allows you to do some creative lens effects to your image. Now, they could be relatively mundane, like different bokeh effects or different distortions you could add to the image, but some are a little more sophisticated. Maybe you could get that tilt shift look that you normally would do with an expensive tilt shift lens, or the lens baby look, or get a toy camera look, stuff like that. Now, to begin with, I think we'll just take a look at the workspace here, and it's a pretty typical Topaz Labs plugin workspace. Over on the left at the top, we have the different effects, and you can see there's a number of bokeh effects, a few camera effects, filter effects, some lens effects, and then we have these extra effects that you could add to an image. Below that are presets. Now, the presets shown are specific to the effect you're using. For example, you see that there's a number of presets here right now. These are very specific to center focus. Now, for this image, I'd like to use a tilt shift effect. A tilt shift effect is very effective on a landscape image, specifically a landscape image that is shot from above, looking down on it, and one that has buildings in it. It really is a very interesting effect if you have that type of situation that we have in this image here. It's also very effective for portraiture, believe it or not. Take a look at the work of Gregory Heisler. He uses a tilt shift effect quite often in his portraiture. All right, so for this one, I want to use a tilt shift effect. Now you can see the presets we have here for center focus. As soon as I click on tilt shift, you could see that the presets changed. They're specific to this tilt shift effect. Now, below that, we have an area here where we could create our own presets, save them, import them, export them, and delete them. Now, we have this tilt shift effect. Over here on the right, I could do some adjustments to that effect. And if I like what I did, I could save it as a preset. Once a preset is saved and I have some user-defined presets, I could delete those. You cannot delete any of the presets that come with lens effects, only the ones you create. You could import presets that somebody else created, or you could export the presets you created to share with someone else. Below that, we have a menu key. It's pretty typical Topaz Labs menu where you could check for updates, enter your purchase key, things like that. Nothing really special there. Now along the top we have different views. Right now we're looking at the after view. If you click right here, we have the before view. And to the right of that, we have two icons. This gives you a side-by-side view of before and after, and then we go back to the previous view by clicking right there. Now, I touched on this a second ago. Right here we have some adjustments that we could do for this effect. These adjustments are specific to the effect you're using, similar to how the presets are specific to that effect. The different effects will have different adjustments. So I could stay here all day and probably show you all these, but I think just showing you give you an idea how this works with a couple different images will suffice. But there's going to be different effects for different adjustments for the different effects that you might use. Above that, we have this snap, it says right here. That's the only active icon. Let's say you're processing along and you kind of like what you did, but you're going to do some more processing and you're not sure if you'll like it. You take a snapshot of where you are in your processing. That way, if you're processing along and all of a sudden you went down a road you shouldn't have went down and you don't like what it looked like, you could click to this grayed out icon, will be active. It'll be your previous snapshot. You could go back to that. And you could save a number of snapshots for the processing you do on an image. So you could go backwards and forwards through your snapshots. to figure out which one you like the best. You also could undo and redo the last thing you did in any adjustments you do here. Above that, we have the different views, and we have this view here, and this shows you exactly what we're looking at. So you could zoom in with this plus magnifier. And then once you're zoomed in, you can see there's a box here, and that shows you what you're actually viewing down here. And then you can move that box around to view a different part of the image if you so choose. You could click this magnifier once it stops rendering to fit it back to the screen, or click this magnifier to zoom into 1:1. And we'll just stay in the fit. That's typically what I'll do. I'll stay right there. And down here, if you don't like what you did, you could just start from scratch by clicking Reset All. Then we have this Apply button. What you could do is once you're satisfied with what you did, you could apply that effect to the image. Then you could apply or do another effect and put that on top of what you just did. So you could put a number of effects on top of each other by just clicking Apply. When you're done, just click OK. If you click Cancel, it'll close down Topaz Lens Effects, and it will not adjust your image at all. All right. So what we're going to do, as I mentioned, we're going to do this tilt shift look to this image. Now, as I look at the image right now, it's kind of got this in focus area like right in here. And I don't want it right in there. I want it going this way, kind of with the lay of the land. So I'm going to look at the presets first, and I see there is one from top right to left. So let's click on that. And when it does it, you can see it's kind of going this way. It's a little maybe too much, like too high on this end and too low on this end. I would prefer it to be right in this center area. So we got to do some adjustments now. So we're going to go right over here to the right. We're going to go to the tilt shift adjustments. Now, if you look specifically at this effect, you can't see the transition area very well. We have this blurry area, then it gradually gets more in focus, then it's in focus, then gradually goes out of focus to out of focus. For me, this helps me adjust this specific effect, is if I make this transition area more defined, like the demarcation line is very easy to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this transition slider and move it to the left. And you'll see after it renders that I have this very strong now area that's out of focus, and then it abruptly becomes in focus. So I could see this in focus area much more readily. Now, the effects are all different, and you might not have the need to do that, first of all, on some effects. Then on some other effects, it might not be available to do, but on others, you might have a slider that will allow you to see what you're working on a little more readily. And I would encourage you to do that, especially with this tilt shift look, because I really want this to go more this way. So more clockwise I need it to go. So I'm going to go to this angle slider, and I'm going to move that to the right. So there's nothing much I could do except just keep trying it. Just keep inching it to the right until I'm satisfied with the actual angle that this area of focus is at. And that doesn't look too bad right there. Here's the demarcation line, I'll call it right there. And then down below the demarcation line is right there. So that's pretty good right there. Now, I could blur that transition a little more now. So I'm going to move this to the right. So the more to the right you make it, the more gradual the transition is between what's in focus and what's out of focus. Now, the area width, I'd like to make it a little wider, meaning the part that's in focus a little wider. So I'm going to put this to the right. Okay, maybe to the left a little more. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Now, the blur amount, let's give it a little more blur. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, if I'm going to look at the before and after, you can see there's the before and there's the after. And you can see how this kind of gives it like a tabletop model look. It doesn't look real. It looks like something that is, just small on a tabletop. I've done this effect. I've shot railroads before, and I've used this tilt shift effect on railroads, shooting up high, shooting down on the railroad. And it's a very effective effect. So this looks pretty decent. Let's mess around with the blur amount a little more. Maybe 1 to 2. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, if I'm going to look at the before and after, you can see there's the before and there's the after. And you can see how this kind of gives it like a tabletop model look. It doesn't look real. It looks like something that is, Maybe make it a little less. Yeah, I think I like it a little less. So I'm happy with the adjustments I did in this tilt shift adjustments section. Now let's go to image adjustments. We just have brightness, contrast, and saturation. Um, let's see if I make it less saturated. Yeah, I don't like that at all. Let's go more saturated. This is typically what I'll do. I'll try it one way or the other. I don't like that either. Um, yeah. If you double click on the name, it'll reset the slider to its center detent position. Let's turn contrast up a little bit. I think I might like a little more contrast here. Yeah, I kind of like that. That even makes it even more looking kind of like a model. Um, and okay, I like the image adjustments I did. I don't need to adjust brightness at all. So right now, I kind of like it. But I'm going to do some distortion adjustments, so I'm going to take a snapshot right now. Okay, so I took a snapshot, and you see when I did that, the previous icon is now active. So let's go down to distortion adjustments. We have two different adjustments, either pincushion barrel or tangential. Tangential distortions are kind of odd. They kind of make the whole thing kind of like tilt like that, stuff like that. The horizontal area, stuff like that. Nothing I really like. So let's reset that. Let's reset that. Let's go to pincushion and let's add some horizontal distortion. Yeah, I don't like any of these looks to it at all. To me, it's just messing up the image. So I'm going to go back to my snapshot by clicking previous. That will bring me back to where I liked it and I created this snapshot. And that's it. I kind of like what I did here. So if I wanted now, I could click apply and then I could do another adjustment on top of this. But I'm happy with this one tilt shift effect that I did to this image, so I'm going to click OK. What it will do is it will save it and close down, and we'll go back and see it in Photoshop in a second. Now, hopefully your computer's a lot faster than mine. Actually, this is a very fast computer, but when I run the screen recording software to record the screen and my audio on top of this, um, it it tends to bog everything down, so everything's a little slower. All right, so there is the effect. Now, one thing I did kind of on purpose so I could show you it is it directly adjusted the background, in this case layer. So what I would suggest you do before you send it over into the plugin, that you duplicate your background or duplicate your layers, make a layer on top with of everything, so that you're not um, adjusting or not affecting the background layer, because if I wanted to go back to the original image right now, I cannot do that. So on this image here, I'm going to duplicate the background before I send it to Topaz Labs. So I'm going to just do that by hitting Command J because I have a Mac. If you have a PC, you'd hit Control J and it just duplicates the background layer and we have layer 1. Now, whatever I do in Lens Effects will just affect layer 1, and I could actually turn it off or on and go back to my original image if I want to. All right, so we're going to send this one over to Lens Effects. We're going to go up to Filter, Topaz Labs, then Topaz Lens Effects. And now for this image, I'm not sure what I want. I really didn't think about this much, but let's see what a pinhole look might look like. All right, I kind of like this look so far. Let's see, we have some presets. We got blurred dark edges. We got blurred dark edges heavy. I kind of like that. How about dim focus? I don't like that. How about light blur? Kind of like that. How about soft edges? That's okay. Soft edges light. Soft focal point 1. Kind of like that one too. But let's do this one mainly because I think it's more easy to see, for you to see what I'm doing. And you can see now we have just adjustments that are specific to camera pinhole. We don't have any of those same adjustments that we had with the tilt shift look. Okay, now we have the actual width of the look. So as I move it to the left, you could see this part here is in focus and everything else is going kind of dark and out of focus. Unfortunately, with this effect, I can't tell it where to center. I would prefer it be centered on her face. I mean, that would be logical. But unfortunately, with this effect, we cannot do that. So I want to make the width relatively uh, large so that we're really not distorting her face at all. The height of the effect, this will make it more ovally, I guess. Ovally a word? Right about there. Now the strength of the effect, we can move it to the right, and it's kind of working opposite of what I would think it would work, but it's kind of making more white as it goes to the right, and then it's going to be more black as we go to the left. I kind of like the darker look there. The transition now is that transition zone again. Is it going to be real defined? You could see how it's right here. We don't want a really well-defined transition zone. And by the way, you know how I accidentally did it there. You could go to before after there. You could also just left click your mouse and hold it in, and there's before, and then let go, and there's after. All right, so we want a softer transition zone, obviously, because she's offset. Okay, so something more like that. And the blur amount, let's see, we'll turn it way up, way up. Okay, you can see how this side's in focus because it's more in the center and this side's out of focus. A lot of people like that look. I personally don't. I really wish this effect allowed you to put a center point so I could make it centered on her face. Unfortunately, it does not. So, you know, it is what it is. Blur effect, we'll leave it right about there. And let's try to move this width a little more. That's not bad. That's a little better, at least to my taste. So I'm going to take a snapshot and I'm going to click apply. All right, now let's try another effect after it renders. It's going to take a second to apply it. Okay, give it a second. Okay. Okay, it says down here, selected effect has been applied. You may continue to apply more effects to this result. So let's see what we got here. Um, let's see what dual tone looks like. This probably would look horrible on a portrait, probably something better for a landscape, but let's see nonetheless. This is really taking a long time to render. I apologize for the delay. It's kind of stuck in a loop, it looks like. It's doing the cool to warm. Yeah, didn't really do much there. Let's see warmth. That's what I think I would want right there for this image. Okay, we have warm 2. Let's go to that. Too warm. Let's go to warm 1. Warm 1 I like. Okay, so again, there's the before and there's the after. Now the before is has our first effect on there because we applied it. But I like that warmth right there. So we're going to click OK because I'm not going to apply another one on top of this. We do have the temperature adjustment here where we could actually adjust the warmth. It has one whole slider in here, but I think that's good. That gives you an idea. And you can see there it is. So this has the two effects on it. We had the pinhole camera, was it? And we have the warm look on top of that. And of course, there's our first one we did that had that tilt shift look effect to it. So that's it. That is Topaz Labs Lens Effects. I hope that gives you a nice introduction of the app and how to use it. It works again as a plugin on Photoshop, Lightroom, Irfanview, other stuff. We've talked about that in the past. Give it a try. I know they have a free trial. You could try out their software. Oh, I should say here, I'm not employed by Topaz Labs. They're not paying me to do these videos, anything like that. We're just doing it for our own edification. All right, that's it. I'll talk to you guys soon.